So, this is the first year that I have received bees in what's called a package. And I think they say there's approximately 7,000 bees in a package. And you can see how they're all holding on to each other. You can see it rock them back and forth. They are in there. They have some food up underneath here. I'm going to open this in a second with a jar. And the queen is hanging on by this little tight strap here into her own. She's in her own little box to protect her from them killing her. Because they're probably not used to her yet. That just takes a few days of her releasing her pheromones and them adapting to it. It's kind of like our smell. You smell something at first, and then after a while you stop smelling it, even if somebody new walked in, and it would be very powerful. What I'm going to do is release this package into my hive box, and then we're going to, that way they can get in there and start making comb or wax, and that gives the queen something to lay her eggs in. Right now she's not able to do that. So once she is bred, she can start laying eggs, but right now she has nowhere to lay eggs because there is no comb in this box. So I've got to get them in here so they can get to work. First thing I'm going to do is open this box up using my hive tool, and it's actually not as easy as, well, maybe this one will come off. I've got 3 hives here. That's why you already see bees flying, because I've already released one. There's a couple things you can do to kind of calm them down. One of them is to smoke them. The reason I am doing this, and you probably can tell I'm under a porch, this will not be their permanent home. It's probably not the most advisable thing, but we are having really stormy weather right now. It's kind of impossible to get them all into the hive body right away. One of the things I'm going to do to kind of calm them also, so this seems to be working better than my smoke right now, because like I said, it rained a lot, and I'm having a hard time keeping anything lit because everything's wet. So spraying them with sugar water. I've been doing this. I got these yesterday, and because of the bad weather, I decided not to transfer them last night. Well, I couldn't get outside. It was really bad. And so I've been feeding them sugar water, but there's also water, sugar water or syrup in this can. So I'm going to open this. I'm going to hang on to the queen's cage by this tape. Oh, I was supposed to do this first. There. That kind of gets them all out of my way. Gets them good and upset. There. Now I have to work quickly. I'm going to untape this. Okay, this is my thing that holds on to the queen. I've got to pull her out. There. This is the queen cage. And let me brush off those couple. And what we want to do here is just make sure that she is in good shape. It's a little bit hard to see. If I had a light, I could show you. She's in there with, that's her there. She's got a longer abdomen, and she is obviously very active. There she is. That's her. She's crawling in circles. That's her right there. Anyway, she's good and active. She's not laying there. She's not gimpy. Looks like all her legs are there, so I'm happy with that. She's in good shape. And so what I'm going to do is install this first into my box. Some people install it last. I'm going to put it in there first. This thing has 2 corks in it. 1 cork on this end and 1 cork on this end. And I'm going to pull this cork out of this end that is blocking this candy. So what happens is, as soon as I pull this cork out, then all the other worker bees will start eating their way through the candy to get to her. And that should take 3 to 5 days. And once they've done that, they're going to release her, and she'll be able to start laying eggs. Hopefully she'll have some something to work on where she can lay eggs in there. So I'm going to release the candy end cork. Which didn't come out as well this time, but anyway, there it is. And I'm going to pull this thing off. A lot of people get upset when you don't cover up, but honestly, bees aren't as mean as most people think they are. I'm being completely surrounded by them, and they're really not bothering me at all. It's probably not the best place to put this, but I'm going to do it. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using an old hive that I've cleaned up, but it has some wax in it already. It takes, just like wax is a fat. Fat has a lot more calories in it than a carbohydrate, which is honey. It takes a lot more energy taken in to make wax than it does to make honey. So I'm trying to give them a little bit of a head start here by providing them some wax to work with. And it's possible that they could clean this up and shape it up nicely, and she can go ahead and start laying eggs in it as soon as possible. And if she doesn't start laying eggs, then your colony will just die off. So you have to have a strong queen. So what I'm going to do is put her in here in this box. We're going to tape her right here to the side, and I'm going to do it where I have to make sure that it's facing in such a way that they can get to her once I close this up. So there she is. I'm going to put her right in the middle, so I'm going to turn her around this way. So she's right there in the center, and then what I'm going to do is push one of these over there. By the way, they make these exactly, I want to say it's something close to 3/8 of an inch that the bees want to have between their space. They don't like more, they don't like less, and so this is the perfect amount of space they want right there. It gives them enough space to build and to move around. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we take these bees and put them in here. This is interesting. I'm gonna shake a couple of cups full right over the queen, so they'll fall right onto her, and then I'm gonna put the rest of them right down here in this big old hole that I've created. I'm gonna fill this in later, but I've got several pounds of bees here, and I'm gonna spray them a little bit just to kind of they kind of tend to want to stick together in a clump that way. Could be using my smoke. I want to show you how many bees are in here. This is completely full. This is a pretty full box. So I'm going to spray them a little bit more, and then I'm going to start dumping. Woo. Hello. This is actually sugar water that I was using so they can clean it off each other and eat it at the same time. This is what worker bees, which are 99.999% of your colony are made out of female worker bees. I actually have a drone right here. If you pick him up. He's basically useless. And he's walking around like, I lost him. Here he is. He's walking around like there he goes. He's useless. They only serve one purpose. You can imagine what that is. Anyway, here we go. I'm going to shake these guys. I think I'm supposed to put them right there. And then I'm going to shake the rest of the bees, as many as I can get out, into the bottom there. And just hope they don't get mad at me since I got a bare hand. But I think they'll be fine. Now look down in there if you can see. It's a lot of bees. Okay, I'm going to be keeping this, I can't get them all out, so I'm going to be keeping this close to the entrance of the hive, which is over here, for the rest of the day. And they'll eventually find her because they know they're trying to find her by her smell. So they should be able to locate her, and they'll just crawl right in there. Come around here, you can see where some of them have come out the entrance here, but they're already climbing up the side there. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see here, boy, they're swarming over here big time. going to put the rest of these slats in. Ooh, one of them's got some wax on it. Very therapeutic thing to sit there and play with wax, but I'll save it for the bees. There's a drone right there. Good one. Drones are males. There are very few of them in a colony of bees, and they only serve one purpose, and that is to go on a mating flight with the queen. And once they do that, they die because their male part is attached to their intestines, and it gets pulled out while they're mating or after they're mating, and they die. So if they don't die mating, the female worker bees feel like they're not really serving any purpose, and they will just push them out of the hive onto the ground and they'll die. Okay, and just very carefully try not to squish any of these worker bee girls. Got one on the edge here. Okay, I'm going to try to cover them up gently. And I need to keep feeding them because these girls don't know where the heck they are. And it takes a while for them to fly around and find more food. And they can't build anything without any food. So what I'm going to do here is keep feeding them sugar water. That's it's basically half sugar, half water, equal parts. I'm going to put it in here like I did there, and probably use the best parts of both of them. Okay, so this is just some sugar water I made up yesterday for them. I'm actually seeing little bits and pieces of crystallized sugar falling, but hopefully it won't block the holes. There's just a couple holes in there, and it just tends to drip out. This is a can of what was inside the package, and it's a can of sugar water or syrup, and you can see it there. So that's what they were sort of eating on, and then they had to feed the queen through her little cage. So you can see I've just put this open package right here by the entrance to their hive, and hopefully by dark they should have found their new home. They should just crawl right out of there and into the hive. And I guess this is what happens later. They're starting to come out and look around a little bit. Trying to figure out where the heck they are and what are they going to do for food, because they can't make any comb unless they have food to nourish themselves so they can produce it. Well, I pulled this frame out, and as it turns out, there is a queen box in there. And looks like hopefully she's not in there anymore. They must have just decided they didn't like rubber bands and got rid of them. I don't know how it's staying there, but I guess it's stuck in wax, or they glued it with some propolis. And oddly enough, it's a little lower than it was, but for whatever reason, they didn't want those rubber bands in there, so I don't have to deal with that. I don't know where they went. I'll see if I can find them. I see them down in the bottom. Anyway, I'm going to have to pull this frame out and pull that out. Get that out of their way. They seem happy enough. This is a very calm bunch. Now I have the queen box. I have pulled it out of this little spot right here. They weren't too happy with me, so I decided to put my gloves on. And you can see that it is empty. This box has 2 corks in it. One cork we leave in, although they ate through that one too, so you can see straight through that thing. And the other side, they ate through as well. So what happens is one of these little cells on the end is filled with candy. I saw this happening down here in the bottom, and I thought this would be interesting. How bees literally can form pyramids and hang on to each other. And this is how, when they swarm and they're hanging from a tree, they're literally all hanging onto each other. These two have stretched, or not these two, these 5-ish, have stretched from one frame to another as I moved them apart, and they're still hanging on for dear life. Not only are they amazing creatures, they're pretty athletic as well. They are very active, working very hard. Building comb out and depositing lots of honey and plenty of pollen. Let's see, hard to find. Oh, here, right there. There she is. So she is out, and she is trying to lay eggs. This is what she's doing. This is the one I had to remove. They're very busy bees. This is a drone right here, more wide-bodied. They don't do a whole lot of work. There he is. Atu's gonna go out and do his job. There's a couple of them. So we've got some drones in here. Drones are haploid, which means the queen did not fertilize the egg when she laid it. That means there are half as many genes in a drone as there are in a worker bee or a queen bee, which is funny because they end up being bigger. But it doesn't depend on the number of genes, how big you get. He's only got one job, and that is to mate with a queen. And he will not do that in this hive. He will go on a mating flight to what's called a drone congregation area, and this one's being taken care of a little bit. And the queen flies through drone congregation areas, and that's how she mates. Just a bigger bodied bee. It's not a good sound if you're out running through the yard, but it's a great sound when you're by a box. Okay, y'all have a good day. About to close them up. The other two are good. Probably give them some more food. Y'all just keep on working.